Good morning, Suzanne Joy.
Good morning, Deborah Leanne.
Can I say happy anniversary?
Happy anniversary! Yay.
Yep, we started on Gene Key 15 and we are celebrating 1 year of doing these weekly chats. And we just want to say yay to ourselves because we completed it. Um, and this Gene Key it knocks me for a loop every time we talk about it. This is the area of my challenge and my evolution. So it's in my chart. And it's such a beautiful gene key. Such a beautiful gene key. So would you like to introduce our topic?
So today we're talking about Gene Key 15, and the Gene Keys are written by Richard Rudd. And there's three states of consciousness within this key that is held there, and it is the shadow of dullness. That's very human. The the gift of magnetism and the acidic state of fluorescence. And this is actually called an eternal flowering spring. And, when I think about this key, and I also just feeling into it, I mean, it's dealing with the liver, physiology, and it's in the ring of seeking. It's partnered with the 10th gene key. And I
Yeah,
just want you can I just introduce that really quick?
do.
Okay. So the 10th gene key, when it's partnered, the shadow of the 10th gene key is self-obsession. So think
Mm,
of self-obsession and dullness. And then the gift that's born out of that is naturalness. And when we're in naturalness, the gift of naturalness is magnetism because you're being natural. And
right.
then the acidic state is being, and when you're being, your own fluorescence. So they're tied hand in hand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me that I think for many of us, maybe who had a difficult childhood, we learned really early how to become invisible. So we would turn off the light and kind of put on that cloak of invisibility or cloak of dullness because it was safe. So, I mean, I understand this and I can see how I still do it now. If there's a group thing, I'm on Zoom and I choose not to participate in the breakout rooms and I turn off my camera so they won't put me in one and I'm like, look at how you still do that. So it's fascinating. It's a way of A, feeling safe, right? Not being seen, which means being seen is still has I still have some things to work through on that. So if anybody else has this same kind of similar feelings, it's kind of a universal thing. But for those of us who are um, really good at turning off our lights and dimming down our light and yeah, I don't want to attract any attention. We can be so good at that that we can attract and we can not attract what we really want in our lives.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah. So let's talk more about what do you have the reactive and the
yeah,
mhm.
the repressive nature is called empty. And so that's really all about fear based natures. People get stuck because at some core level, they're afraid of fear itself. And so um, the fear of just anything moving inside of them and changing them. I think when I feel into empty, it's just like there's just nothing there because it's just fear has taken hold.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the reactive nature, it would just, if that reactive nature is extremist, like to the hilt, you escape stuff through denial. Like you just,
And that's familiar too because a lot of people overreact or they have this extra effusive personality because it distracts people from what's real.
yeah, they don't know, they don't exactly know what they're running from, but they're just
Yeah.
out
And you
there.
can do that through being busy, being dramatic, and And I have been guilty of that as well. So it's fascinating because I can see how I've played both of those. Um, and to the point where people were like, where I'm not sure I can see you, because there's
Right.
this hologram of you and then it moves.
Yeah, it's very frenetic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Hmm.
So I love when Richard talks about this key. This is the whole core of this key is that the challenge is the art of slowing down. We are so moving at such a fast pace. I think of how technology has mimicked like just faster internet speeds and faster, faster, everything's faster. Let's just do everything faster. And we as humans aren't listening to our own rhythm and the rhythm of Gaia and how we operate on this planet is in cycles. And that's just a natural rhythm, not a made up rhythm. And I thought about this in business a lot when it was productive. We're just expected to be productive all the time. That's
Not
not
honoring,
how,
it's not honoring our systems and our cycles.
yeah,
No.
right. And so there is this natural ebb and flow that each one of us has. And so honoring that for sure.
And what's funny, if anybody ever read any of those, like The Red Tent or any of those books, that was the first time I was awakened to the moon cycle within women, which used to be all synced up if you lived in a nomadic group or tribe. And then all of the women of childbearing age would go into the red tent for that week. They didn't work, they didn't do childcare, they didn't take care of the animals, they didn't cook. And the elders and the children would come in and take care of them, bring them their meals, rub oils into their feet, care for them. And so women were having a week off every month to tend to themselves. And you think about when you and I were corporate crazy women I mean, didn't even honor the 8 to 5. I mean, we would work these, 100-hour weeks or whatever, and we were traveling on our own time and we didn't honor our own cycles. And then we wonder why we have burnout. We wonder why we have, adrenal fatigue. We wonder why we get, ill, and have disease of some sort. So, this honoring of the cycles and the seasons in business, in life, in our emotional and energetic system is so crucial. And it's what creates the magnetic thing, which allows for the fluorescence, which, by the way, this is the mudra. And it's so beautiful. And I know I'm introducing it during the shadow, but I think I really need it right now. And you imagine that these are all these flames of, what does he call it? Um, Exponential flowering, right? So all of these are, and by creating a vase, we fill up and then we overflow and share with the world. So then it becomes radiant and touches
Right.
everything around us.
Because
So
we
that,
can't.
yeah, creating and filling up and sharing our abundance is what this exponential flowering is.
And we all have to understand that we've got to listen to our inner cycles because no one can produce or overflow from an empty cup.
But boy, have I tried.
So I,
I mean, if we just keep
yeah,
working harder.
yeah, I know the whole push thing. But um, when we can be in that state and it's not fearful and just honoring and loving, that's the gift of love. Not only when we give that to ourselves, we're
Mhm.
actually radiating that and giving it to others.
Absolutely. Modeling
So,
it, I tell myself if you just go to the grocery store being you and modeling this presence and this essence, it allows others to also that with our neurotransmitters that we have, we're radiating, and we have a contagiousness about our energy. So watch what you're putting out
Light,
there.
light, light, light,
Yeah.
light. Yeah. So, I love this because it's talking about this deep kinship with all life. And there was a book that I read in my, I don't know, middle school age years. And I resonated with that book so much because I felt life, right? I feel life all around me, even down to the,
I know.
insects.
We were talking
So,
about the ants and the
yeah, yeah. So that whole kinship and connection to life and knowing that everything is sentient, like we have this fullness that and connection to all. And I don't know where that came from, but that's just really feels very dear to my heart because
well, and it's
it's
like,
that
yeah,
we're not separate.
we're not. That we are part of it all. And the what I love about the one thing he said is Saint, was it Helen of Bingham? Anyway, it was some mystical, but very earthbound in her spirituality. She had a term that was called viriditas, and it is the essence that you see in plant life that glows. So if you're looking at, I love to watch the trees when the sunlight hits them, or even the blades of grass when there's light on them, they glow. And that essence is what this feels like to me. That fluorescence is, we are that as well. And we so often turn it down. I mean, it's easier to be that than to try to cover it up, which is what it takes so much exhaust. I'm exhausted very often when I'm trying to squelch it down, hold that beach ball under the water. It doesn't work so good. So anyway, I'm laughing about how the gift and the citic state are actually a state of ease and grace. And I go, ooh, that so
Can we make it easy?
oh,
Can
what
we
a
make it
switch.
easy?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
So how else do you want to play with this? Because I feel like the acidic state of fluorescence. Did we skip over the gift too much?
The gift, it's really about full potential. And when you're in your naturalness, think of the programming partner. That's like what you were saying in the mundane, walking into a grocery store, being you, you're exuding your light. And that's the magnetism, right? That's the your essence.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And I think what I want to stress is all three of these levels of consciousness and beingness and all the in between stages as well are all present at the same time. So just because we might feel that dullness or kind of, turn off, or we just need to be quiet for a while, then we reconnect. It's a sign. And once we learn to use this as oh, am I operating from fear here of keeping my light off? Or am I operating from I'm just going to be quiet now and regain strength and fill up with life essence. So it's if once we get to a place of appreciating and embracing these shadows, then the gifts and the citic state arise. But what very often I was in judgment mode about, oh,
oh,
there you are again. You're in the dullness place. And then it would just spiral into the ugliness versus allowing oh, I just need to
yeah,
be quiet. So play with the allowing the shadow to be there and then say, if I just hold you, oh, look how that switches. Look how that allows the gift to arise.
that's beautiful. Yeah. And I, yeah. So the acidic state, fluorescence.
Hmm.
It's the ultimate flowering. This is, it's very graceful. It is grace. It's grace
Is
in
great.
action. Grace in action. And so,
Exponential flaring. That's the word he used. Flaring. Hmm.
well, it talks about the what was the first term? The eternal flowering spring. It's the energy of spring. And so when we are operating from that divine state and it is overflowing, of course it's going to feel like spring. It's going to be very green, it's very like lush, it's lovely.
And there's a lot
And
of energy that goes into like creating I think about how spring, there's all that energy to get those plants to go. And then all of a sudden they're like up and flowering and, attracting pollinators and doing their thing.
yep.
Yeah, it's a lot of energy and it's a lot of new growth. And how can we do that when sometimes that just feels overwhelming?
Well, what I guess my question is, what is the overwhelm coming from?
I think a lot of change really quickly.
Yeah. So, as we can play with timelessness and we can be present to what is right now.
Oh, not planning. Not.
Right.
I guess that's not very fluorescent, is it?
Yeah.
Um,
So, but what I just want to read this because this is fluorescence. This is what Richard says. Fluorescence follows nature's own wild, organic rhythms, which demand an attitude of trust, surrender, and childish delight.
yeah. And when we're there, everything is so easy.
Yeah.
Um, it's the trying to get to that state,
Right.
or what
That
goes
feels
into
very
my mind
struggly.
is, yeah, like, how can I stay here? Like,
Right. Well,
am
and
I
that's
floating? Am I floating? And then, yeah,
right. And I think that's part of the gig, is following that rhythm. And when you feel yucky or down, to just be with it, not trying to force it to another state. Um, I just saw Inside Out too. I'm not going to
I'm so jealous. I
give
can't
away,
wait.
but that movie really shows you how the emotional states play into all of it. Um, but this is, I think, a little bit more than emotional because we're talking.
Energy and the
Yep.
the the life force essence, and
Yeah.
yeah. Um, I am, and I'm sure all of our people that listen and watch will agree. Doesn't Suzanne look like Joy in Inside Out? It just does. So anyway, I sidebar. So to get into the thoughts around these, it's holding the space for exponential flaring of this essence. I mean, to me, this feels so big and yet so simple. So my mind goes into, oh my God, that's, really hard to get there versus, oh, this is who I am. It's such a different when you ground down into it. And it is so easy when we're surrounded in the support system of being in nature.
Yeah.
So this is
S-
why being in the country for me and sitting on my
Yeah.
treehouse back deck, which I'm 2 stories up off the ground, and I'm like, I'm in the trees.
Well, yeah, and surrounding yourself with supportive networks.
Absolutely.
So,
Love that.
whether it be trees, he says when a person becomes truly natural and comfortable with who they are, when they become truly accepting of theirs and others' lives, they are close to flowering because you just trust how everything is playing out.
Okay. So even when things are wonky and going sideways, we can still drop into this state if we just go, this too shall pass, and hold it lightly. This has been a
Yeah.
place I've been hanging out lately, is to hold things with lightness and lightly. That's, every time I study these things, I learn something, another piece drops in
Yeah, and
into my awareness.
we're all learning at different um, unique times. We all flower at different times. We're all not going to just, it would be lovely if, patches of us all flower very similarly, because it always feels more beautiful with strength in numbers. Um, but yeah, just allowing that to flow however it flows.
Yeah. So how do
And
you, yeah, go ahead.
I was just thinking about, you know, it's that childlike trust. It just keeps coming back to me, that childlike trust. And not needing to know, but being delighted in the movement of what is happening. And
In the discovery,
yeah,
being
which is
delighted in the
to me,
discovery, which versus the not knowing is can feel so crazy to our systems. But in like in the childlike place, we didn't get up in the morning going, I know exactly what I'm going to do today. We just
no,
got up.
exactly. We
Yeah.
just figure it out as we go and kind of go, oh, that looks interesting. Let's go play over there. Yeah. So,
Hmm. Okay. So we don't know what is going to be created after this 1 year. We do want to invite you to join, to watch for, we're going to be putting together something for the full moon, summer solstice in the Northern Hemisphere this week. But next week's pulse, we don't know. We've got some ideas and we'd love to hear from you. Do you have suggestions on where you would like our um, musings and wanderings and morning chats to go? So let us know if something comes to mind. So, anything else, darling, before we close?
no, not
This
for
has
now.
been such an honor to play and to share and to celebrate this growth pattern that or dance that we're all on right now. And I just want to say I so appreciate being here with you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Take good care.